Welcome to another movie plot and enjoy the memories. We open with a pig hunter named Benny telling the story of how he just had to shoot his own brother. They spent the night camping in this regal-looking forest and noticed one of those meteor showers that give you the old bubble belly. Depending on your translation of the Book of Revelation, it says that a fallen star called Wyrmwood will turn people into flesh-eating zombies. Between these three we get a good spread of differing results as Benny remained human while his mate's missing his head because his brother ate it. Unable to kill Tony, he just mercifully blew his leg off and ran away until he pops up later during our story. Listening to this is Barry, who's glad he didn't tell his story first, otherwise killing his own wife and daughter might have come off the wrong way. This morning the mechanic found a zombie eating leftovers in his kitchen and somehow got stuck under it, so his wife Annie came to the rescue. She put a knife in Joe Neighbor's back, but that didn't prevent him from trying to eat her husband, so severed his spine with an axe instead. That certainly does the trick, so Barry finishes him off and puts masks on his family to avoid the gas emitting from the corpse. Equipped with a nail gun they fight their way to the car in darkness, but the undead run at full sprint and they barely make it inside. Other than a side window that shatters, the zombies bounce off the windshield like raindrops as Barry drives all night to go rescue his sister. Brooke's miles away in her studio/garage conducting a photo shoot with a model dressed as what she's about to become. The meteor shower triggers the girl's transformation, but Brooke evades capture by leaping up into the rafters. Her lazy assistant is eaten alive, but her sacrifice gives time to prepare a handy ceiling hook and snag the zombie like a fish. These are the reanimate immediately type as demonstrated by Brooke's infected assistant, but she's easily dealt with by a shovel to the face. With zombies keeping her trapped inside, Brooke somehow falls asleep in the rafters with the model screaming in her ear. But fortunately when the sun rises, two military types enter the shed to shut her up. In all these zombie movies you need to be cautious of soldiers, but so far so good as they're just checking to make sure Brooke's not infected. It's when they try to inject her does Brooke lash out, destroying their supply of sedatives, but there are other ways to put people to sleep. Meanwhile her niece Meganne takes her gas mask off, but before Barry can reapply it she's already turned into a zombie. Since she's restrained in the back seat, the parents just drive for a bit then pull over when Annie takes her mask off to join her. Barry does the same, but unlike his wife he doesn't transform and instead is forced to end Annie's suffering like he's putting up a fence. He then does the same for his daughter, only the nail gun is empty when he turns it on himself, so he's a bit angry. But this is the Aussie outback, so there's an Eastern brown within spitting distance that he could use. Instead Barry just waits until a survivor happens upon the scene named Chalker, then tries get this poor man done for murder. They fight over his rifle with almost full extension on that armbar until Chalker helps Barry with headshotting a zombie. He then knocks out Barry with a headbutt, who wakes up in the back of Chalker's truck ready for round two like he didn't just get domed unconscious. The big brother quickly calms down when thinking about his sister, so Chalker drives him to her studio while all the zombies seem to only be walking. Brooke wakes up gagged on board a mobile lab alongside zombies and other human experiments of a mad unnamed doctor. He swaggers his way through the truck and without much reason to any of this madness injects her with chemicals right out of a zombie's brain. It has the unintended effect of giving Brooke a psychic connection with the zombies, while it could have been worse, like having your brains turned into fluid. Silently plotting her escape, the prisoner commands a new zombie arrival to kick a soldier in the balls before it hides a scalpel in its stomach. On their way to save her, Chalker's truck breaks down despite being in perfect condition, so they begin to travel on foot. Suddenly his head explodes as Benny mistakenly thought he was one of the infected and only just got finished delimiting his brother. We basically just replace Chalker with him and the two journey together until coming across Kelly held up in a fortified shed. They ask to come in and get this response from him. When a man adorned in bushranger armor exits to help fight the zombies off and allow the guests to make it inside. The Tin Man Frank demonstrates that the apocalypse has caused any flammable liquids to no longer ignite, which explains the truck. They all sit down for some burger sandwiches and make another discovery that zombie blood's flammable and their breath combustible. The mechanic comes up with the idea to make a zombie-powered engine, so they all put on makeshift armor and head outside to retrieve the truck. Using meat to draw the zombies away and firepower to hold them back, they winch the truck into the garage, but Kelly had to go and get all dramatic. He gets his entire nose bitten off and once inside immediately begins transforming, which makes him the perfect candidate to use for our fuel source. They rig the vehicle up with a cage to contain him and attach his mouth to a hose so that he exhales directly into the gas tank. Frank mounts a gas-powered harpoon to the truck that he uses for hunting sharks so they can capture more zombie fuel and propel them faster through the wasteland. When they pull over to drain, the lizard ahead emerges from Benny's stream, but they're unable to escape because the sun's gone down. The reason why the zombies become so much faster at night is because they cease to exhale the gas and instead their bodies use it for speed. Barricading themselves inside the truck for the night until their fuel source begins working again. Barry can't resist shooting one of the combustible runners in the face and accidentally sets the compressor on fire. He climbs out of the roof to battle the Horde while putting out the mess that he created, but Frank is bitten in the process. Fortunately, there's emergency beers in the med kit, but they don't cure the infection, so he asks Barry to put him out of his misery. Barry obliges and the two survivors hold up with the body until the sun rises and the zombies revert back into walkers. That doesn't mean that they're safe now, just that they have gas to drive and pull over somewhere to give Frank and Kelly a roadside burial. As the two press on, they encounter an electric truck being driven by two soldiers, and it's a tense standoff full of phony greetings. Jarhead number 1 reveals that people with A-negative blood are completely unaffected by the airborne zombification, which is why they don't need masks. They promise to lead the brother to his sister, so Benny says he likes them, but he likes everybody when he isn't blowing their heads off.
Is he alright? Is he okay?
Barry knows they're full of crap but follows them anyway, while Brooke's shown enacting her escape plan when the doc falls asleep. She commands a zombie to cut its bindings with the scalpel and steal the doc's gun, but the crippled thing trips over and wakes him up. The doc blows its head off, then notices that Brooke is the one controlling them, so he prepares to drain her brain juice, forcing her to think on the spot. Bedbound zombie gets a leg free and kicks off an extinguisher rolling beneath the doc's arms, where it bites one of his fingers off. You'd think the wheels would be locked, but anyway, the doc rushes to sever his hand off with a circular saw before the infection spreads. It's probably a lot easier to do when it isn't your dominant hand, and when the doc turns the tool on Brooke, it turns out he didn't cut high enough. Under her complete control, the moment he transforms, the undead doctor cuts her bindings and hands over his gun like a well-trained golden retriever. One that's immediately put down, not because he was any kind of threat, but because the revenge feels good. Now trying to find a way to escape the lab is conveniently the same truck being driven by the soldiers, so our getaway driver is already here. Brooke leaps out of the back onto Barry's zombie mobile, which they use to easily escape these non-supernatural breath-powered vehicles. Up ahead they pull over so siblings can reunite, but soon realize the truck won't start because the soldiers killed the zombie powering it. Fortunately, we have a Brooke who can just fetch them one from the surrounding bush and have it run right into the cage. Suddenly Benny's shot in the stomach as soldiers in a truck begin to catch up, so the helpful zombie puts on the mask and they step on it. Once alone they pull over again when the mortally wounded Benny's in too much pain to continue and tells them to just leave him behind. Brooke also feels on the verge of transforming and wants to end her pain, but the soldiers return as I guess we didn't get far enough away. They capture Barry and Benny while Brooke hides in the woods, so they begin torturing her brother to lure her out. Brooke uses the surrounding zombies to fight back, but there aren't enough of them to do any damage, so she must hand herself over to the soldiers. Their plan is to decapitate the mutant with this random sword and send her head back to the commander. So Barry wants to use his matches to all go out in a fiery explosion by lighting their zombie engine on fire. Benny decides to sacrifice himself to save the siblings by letting their fuel source bite him so Brooke can do things that he couldn't do himself. That includes using a number 7 killer boomerang hidden under the truck to cut off his hand so that he can make it to a gun. Zombie Rambo Benny mows down all of the soldiers except for the captain, who lands a headshot but is now surrounded by his reanimated friends. Brooke tells him to drop the gun, but he just shoots her in the heart, sending a hive mind response across all the incapacitated zombies. An enraged Barry picks up the boomerang and lands a headshot on Cap, knocking off the mask and indirectly killing him. Not having the right blood to be sucking up all of this infected zombie air, the now doomed soldier challenges Barry to a fight. It's just a one-sided beatdown, with the trained soldier winning most of the exchanges because no matter how angry he gets, Barry is a mechanic. Anyone can squeeze a guy's unmentionable, so the captain retrieves his pistol and shoots the ball grabber, as that was a dirty move. They're then right back where they started, beside the truck, but the fuel zombie startles the soldier, so he shoots it point blank in the head. Splattered with flammable blood, Barry grabs the matches from his original plan and ignites the captain's head into a human torch. He screams until there's no flesh left, but before Barry can shoot him, Brooke reanimates, still in control of the zombie horde. Fortunately for Barry, she also has her faculties and commands the gang to eat Captain Deadpool alive. With the siblings back on the road, their first order of business is to eliminate the rest of the lab truck gang and liberate anybody inside. When Beavis and Butthead here refuse to release them, Brooke calls some of her friends to come around for dinner. And the movie ends.